It will not work.
Call Adrian Rura.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chairman. Tihei Mauri ora. Sir, at the end of my speech, I want to speak a little bit on Mauri and the determination and the notion of Mauri when it comes to determining the main home. But first of all, I want to talk about the speculators. Sir, I don't believe that there is a test within this bill that adequately identifies and determines what a speculator is. Surely it cannot be just based upon the length of time that one owns a property. And then suddenly after 2 years and 1 day, you're no longer a speculator. Well, I would beg to differ on that. I believe that we need a test in here that determines what a speculator is on the day that they purchase that particular property. And I would further suggest that the test ought to be, is there intent to sell that home? Are they a New Zealand citizen based in New Zealand, or are they offshore purely in this to make money? And that should surely be the test, not the length of time. And so I suggest that that ought to be the test. I also wanted to bring up the matter of the submission from the New Plymouth District Council, which the Select Committee has, I believe, adequately addressed in determining that the homes that they leasehold homes in Waitara on the Peka Peka block are in fact will be exempt should the occupants, the leaseholders, purchase those properties. I believe that is the right thing to do. But I bring that up, sir, because at another level, it also highlights the truncated process that the Select Committee was forced to go through for this retrospective legislation. I wonder how many other potential homeowners, leaseholders out there are not covered by this legislation. And so I asked the Minister if in the seat if she can give us some assurance on this very issue. Sir, we have heard from my colleagues the issue around what is the main home. And I have to say that from my perspective, I have many whare, like a lot of Māori, and I have to say that I find this argument quite silly. And as my colleague Claire Curran has said, ridiculous. And I'll tell you why. The reason I see it is that we, as looking at through Māori lenses, would surely see that one whare is more important than another. Well, we don't look at the world like that. And so if we're using, you know, and some of my colleagues have referred to the word vibe, or we would call it mauri, and the mauri of how you feel about your mother's marae or your father's marae can equally be placed in terms of homes. And so I believe that how do you quantify that? And I'd love to hear from the Minister on these issues. How would you determine one is greater than the other? I would suggest that it needs, and as my colleague David Cunliffe has already said, I think we'll see this piece of legislation back before the House, before 2 years is up. Sir, that's my contribution to this first part. I hope to take another call in the second part, but for now, thank you very much. Tihei Mauri ora.
I call Jamie Lee Ross.
I move that the